All right, it's officially time. Let's do this. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Deandre Kiorkof, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Already, my voice cracked. This is why we have retakes. This is why live streaming is completely chaotic. Regardless, I'm going to thank you guys for showing up, being here already. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and being active members of the community, already lighting up the chat. I really do appreciate your guys' presence today. We're going to be talking about all things fantasy football related, of course, today. And just kind of shooting the shit, talking about some fantasy football, answering some questions, seeing what you guys have to say. Perhaps, maybe, if in fact, everything starts to go according to plan, the air conditioning in the house is completely torched, I'm sweating. If I can survive long enough, maybe we do a live stream, or excuse me, a live mock draft a little bit later down in the live stream. But outside of that, I want to first and foremost answer some questions, see what you guys have been, kind of thinking about. Where is everything in the fantasy football landscape in your mind? See what you guys are thinking. Either way, today's an exciting day. Yes, it's a Monday, and everybody hates Mondays. That is a given. But earlier today, via my Patreon, my 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide was officially released. Man, I was up till 10 a.m. finishing it. Just all-nighter, trying to get all of that packed and jammed and ready to go. Of course, we'll talk about that more later down the line, but of course, I want to get into the comment section, see what you guys have to say. I do appreciate you guys, before the stream even beginning, hitting me up with the salutations and the greetings. Again, that's awesome, guys. I really do appreciate that. All right, let's answer some questions here. Let's see what you guys have in mind. You know what? I got to make sure that I'm not muted because I haven't live streamed in a hot minute. Let me see here. All right, cool. Just had to confirm. You never know sometimes. Andrew's, he does some things that are questionable at times, but it's okay. All right, so let's go. Let's check out what's going on in this chat. Is it a good idea to go 3 consecutive running backs? Ben Gucci, that's a great question. I would say it depends on what selection you're at and the value that you're getting at the pick. If, for example, I'm sitting at the number 1 overall pick, I pick Christian McCaffrey in the first round, and the second round comes down oh my God. And the second round comes down to me. You see, I'm telling you, life's crazy. And there are guys on the board that should not be on the board, like an Austin Eckler or and Najee Harris, and I can get all 3 of them and jam pack them onto one team. At that point, I think the value is too much to ignore. But it really depends on, again, what kind of value is available on the board. Typically, I wouldn't say going 3 RB is the best way unless you're playing in a scoring format that is going to benefit from that, like a standard scoring format where obviously the running back position is king. I would say that's maybe the best plan of action, but typically you want to go ahead and bolster up wide receivers and tight ends early so that you can go ahead and have yourself some depth across the board so you're not having to rely upon 3 guys to carry your entire team. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay. What is good, you beautiful bastard? Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that. Jeez. You guys are just hilarious. Will saying Tyler Lockett in round 5 or Mark Andrews / TJ Hawkinson. Probably end up with Chase and Higgins in the 6th. I'd probably say, okay, look, I am a huge advocate for grabbing one of the upper echelon tight ends. I've talked about it all off season. I'll continue to talk about it. I think missing out on one of the top tier tight ends is going to be a big mistake. I think the stat that I've mentioned before in the past, last year there were only 3 tight ends in a half PPR that scored over 150 fantasy points in comparison to other positions. If I'm not mistaken, there were 6 kickers last year that accomplished that, surpassing 150 fantasy points, and 3 team defenses. So if you're not able to at least get a part or a share of a TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, you might as well just wait. You might as well wait and grab a guy like a sleeper down the line, maybe an Irv Smith, a tight end of that caliber that may have the upside of being that breakout this upcoming season. But I personally want to invest in my tight ends early and go ahead and grab them so that I don't have to worry about replacing that position or getting a bum every single week from that spot. Let's see here. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of you. Again, I do appreciate your guys' presence here today. There's 150 of you in the chat, but there's only been 50 likes down below. Click that like button. Show your appreciation. I do appreciate you guys clicking that button. It helps the channel grow, of course, and it helps me continue to do things like this on a weekly basis, kind of answering your guys' questions. Jake asked, "Are you Jesus Christ?" You know, I've actually I had an idea once. And it was just an idea. I never really thought about executing it. But you know how I do Sunday live streams right before kickoff throughout the entirety of the season, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm here answering before kickoff. But I thought about one day just coming in with the robes and start, preaching the fantasy gospel at that point. I really actually did. But I never committed to it. I was like, we'll keep it like that. We'll just keep it the normal ranking stuff. Kiork, I missed looking at your face every week. Listen, guys, I missed talking to the camera every single week. You know how rusty it was to try to come back after not recording for a while? My gosh, like it takes its time to kind of find stride, but I think I'm, very quickly picking it back up. This is my 4th year recording videos, and if you go back and look at what we were initially producing on this channel, with your guys' support, it's gotten to where it is today. But yeah, I do appreciate that. All right, let's see what other questions. Okay, so Jeff was saying Davante Adams at 4 in a 1-point PPR scoring format, or Kamara, Henry, or Ezekiel Elliott. I don't mind going Davante Adams there, but if it's me, I'm going to go running back. I think the running back position, as soon as it leaves at the number 4 spot, let's say, for example, theoretically, you're playing in a 12-team league. There's going to be 16 selections before you pick in the second round. By the time it comes back, if you went wide receiver in the first, you're probably looking at Joe Mixon being your RB1. Antonio Gibson, maybe. Clyde Edwards. Running backs of that caliber. If you're willing to live and die by that, then okay. Otherwise, if it's my selection in a full PPR, I'm going Kamara, Henry, or Ezekiel Elliott, regardless, whichever one is available for me there. How would you rank Swift, Dobbins, Carson, and Monty? Max, you know what? That is a fantastic question, and this is not a plug, and this isn't rigged. I had a video the other day that I posted about my 11th through 20th ranked running backs. So if you haven't yet already, guys, check that out. Man, hashtag ad, right? That's just fantastic. No, but honestly, Max, I'll just answer your question. If you want to go check out the video, that'd be awesome. Just get more context and statistics in terms of my thought process. But between Dobbins, Swift, Carson, and Monty, I like Carson more than all of them. I think he's very easily going to see himself 60 targets, catch himself 40, 45 passes, on top of the fact that he'll have the entirety of the Seahawks, rushing work. I know Rashad Penny's coming back from the injury, but he's, again, hasn't done anything in his career thus far and hasn't really shown much promise. So when we think about what Carson's capable of, I mentioned it in an episode the other day. Tyler Lockett had 6 touchdowns from inside the 5-yard line last year. If you go ahead and have a full healthy season of Carson, maybe even just 14 out of the 17 games, you could end up seeing him break into that top 15 RB position. So I like Carson out of those group of guys. Probably, if it's a half PPR, Dobbins next, and then Monty, Swift. Just depends on Tariq Cohen's health, theoretically. Let's see here. Oh, we had a donation come in from Nate. Thank you very much. Again, you guys don't have to donate. I do appreciate that. Next time, Nate, take that $5, add another $5 on top of it, and go over to the Patreon. Get yourself my 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide that is live right now, and all of the other perks that involve, the Patreon and trying to help you guys win a championship. But either way, I do appreciate it. Tell me about David Montgomery. He injured himself on his first carry on Sunday. I'm still keeping him. So this is a keeper league. And it'll be a 5th round pick. Okay. Look, at this point, so a lot of you guys have probably already drafted teams. I still think it's early to draft teams. There is so many questions to be kind of, gone over. But in terms of telling you about David Montgomery, trying to sell you on him, if that's what you're looking for me to do, in terms of his opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, last season he played 15 total games. In those 15 total games, he touched 93% of the entire rushing attempt and receiving backfield targets for the Bears. that was the highest amongst all players in the National Football League. Matt Nagy's not afraid of feeding him the ball. Yes, the implementation of Tariq Cohen back in this offense does play a part in him losing targets, but I still think that David Montgomery, because of his capabilities, can see himself 30 receptions this year. And if that's going to be the case, he could potentially, if the touchdowns are there, be maybe a top 16 running back. But that's pushing it, right? I think the Bears, I've sneaked it in the past or in the last couple of days. The Bears are a good, they're a decent offensive line. They're going to bring in Jason Peters as left tackle. Justin Fields does kind of, add an extra spectrum to that offense that helps the running game. But David Montgomery as a whole, besides having that 6-game stretch at the back end of last year, he's tough to 100% buy in on, especially if there are other guys kind of taking the work away from him. But either way, I did post a video the other day. Go check that out. Full, explanation and context behind all of that. All right, I got to check something really quickly. We did see another donation from DJ. DJ, you've been around this community for quite some time, man. So again, thank you very much. It says, remember you used to go to the movies every Sunday. I used to go to the movies every Sunday. I did. We would do the live stream, and then I'd hop over, and I would not watch the games in the morning. I would just watch a movie because I had consumed so much football content that I was like, yeah, let's just go watch a movie. But that doesn't exist anymore because movie theaters are, I think they're just starting to kind of open back up. But now that they're putting movies on Disney Plus and HBO Max, when I can sit at home and watch Suicide Squad, and I can sit down at home and watch, Black Widow. What am I doing, right? It's just easy that way, right? Okay, so let me see here. A couple more questions. Not a couple more. A lot of more questions coming through. Your mic is messed up. I'm only getting sound through one earbud. Check and see. Okay. That is really interesting. You're the first person to tell me this. I will try to fix that, but I don't think I can do that unless I stop the stream. So for now, we'll leave it as such. I do appreciate you guys letting me know that. That's something I got to look into. All right. Let's see here. Derrick Henry or Kamara in a full PPR? I go Alvin Kamara. The receiving upside's too good in my opinion. Even if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback, I know that there's questions whether or not Alvin Kamara is going to get targets, but I think truly there's no one else to throw the ball to in that offense, and the offense is predicated on feeding the ball to their running backs out of the backfield. It's been the case for maybe the last decade plus with Sean Payton. If we go back to like Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara is not new. Sean Payton wants to run this offense in which he feeds his running backs the ball out of the backfield. So hopefully that'll just continue. And of course, Alvin Kamara in a PPR catching the ball, 81 times plus in the last 4 consecutive seasons of his career. Those are always great numbers. Okay, let's see here. When do you typically draft a defense or kicker? Are you concerned about not getting one of the top ones? All right, Jake, that's a great question. Honestly, the strategy behind kickers and defenses is very subjective. I myself I try to avoid kickers and defenses until the final 2 rounds if I'm drafting late. Like what I mean, like if I'm drafting probably 3 or 4 days before the first NFL game, I'll draft a defense and a kicker, but they'll be my final picks. If I'm drafting, let's say for example tonight, I am not drafting a kicker and defense. You will not see a kicker and defense on my roster at all. I'm going to be drafting handcuffs and guys that would potentially benefit from being the starter for their respective team if an injury was to take place during the preseason. So you always want to be careful when you're drafting right now. I know there's the potential of, grabbing a defense, but I think predicting the best defense in the National Football League is just as hard as predicting, maybe anything else in fantasy football. Of course, there are defenses out there that are, start it and you don't even have to look at them, like the Steelers, the Ravens. I think those defenses as a whole over the last couple of years, even the Patriots, now that they've gotten some defensive players back, I think you can just start those guys and be fine. But in terms of right now, if I'm drafting, I'm not even focusing on those 2 positions. I'm trying to just grab handcuffs, because a couple years back, if you guys remember, Spencer Ware tore his ACL for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kareem Hunt automatically became the RB1, and in that season finished as the number 4 overall running back, and I was able to grab him because I drafted him in the final round of my draft and ended up winning that league. A big money one either way. A couple more questions coming through here. Michael, thank you very much for the donation. Sleeper tight end says Mr. Rodgers. There's a lot of them, but I'll get to that after I answer Michael's question. He says, what do you think about my team? Mock draft, QB, Tannehill. Then we have Darrell Henderson as the RB1. Damian Harris is the RB2. Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver 1. Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 2. Robert Woods, wide receiver 3. Julio Jones, wide receiver 4. And Irv Smith as your tight end. Ooh, okay. You're playing in a full PPR, I'm assuming, because this is a fully executed 0 RB draft, right? You went 4 consecutive wide receivers, and you're going to potentially benefit off of those guys carrying your team, whether it's the 3 starting wide receivers and then putting Julio at the flex. Do I hate this team? No. Would I rather have another running back as my RB2 instead of Damian Harris? Yes. But you have 2 of the potential top 4 wide receivers, and then you have Woods and Julio who, if in fact they end up panning out, could be wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 1s at that. Otherwise, they're wide receiver 2s with upside. I don't hate the team. It's just a matter of what else do you have in depth, because that running back position scares me. As much as I like Darrell Henderson, it could all go to crap. It could literally burn in a dumpster fire, and we see Xavier Jones getting 10 carries out of the backfield. It could. So solidifying maybe another RB in those early rounds would have been great, but otherwise, I don't hate this team in a full PPR. I still think you're going to be able to torch a lot of people with your wide receivers. And then you guys know how much I like Tannehill. He's one of the better quarterbacks as of the last 2 seasons since taking over the job at Tennessee. Can you do mock drafts with subs tonight? If in fact we have time, yeah, I don't mind putting a link in the description, or not the description, but in the chat, and then seeing 11 of you guys hop in. We'll just do a quick one. I appreciate the donation. Michael sends in a question. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So I assumed, Michael, that your team was a full PPR. That was my assumption off the rip. So that's kind of what I kind of sort of anticipated it being. That's why you went, quadra wide receiver. And I'm assuming you selected at the back end of the first round. You probably even had the 12th pick. That's why you went double wide receiver. So not a surprise there. But overall, man, yeah, Damian Harris could end up being a stud running back, but that backfield's a committee anyway. It's just tough. It's tough to have that as your RB2. Ren was saying, Gaskin is my RB2 in a redraft. Do I hit the panic button? Look, it's early, but there is cause for concern, right? When you're seeing Malcolm Brown, Salvin Ahmed continue to get touches in the preseason, that could potentially scare you, hit the button and the SpongeBobs in your head are starting to burn the files and all that kind of stuff. I'd say relatively calm for now. I think in terms of the receiving work, it's going to mainly be Gaskin, but it's just a matter of how much Tua wants to feed the ball to him. When we looked at Myles Gaskin's distribution of targets out of the backfield last season, when it was Tua versus Fitzpatrick targeted him about 4.87 times per game in comparison to Tua, which was far less. So if in fact Tua could potentially get to that point where he's feeding him the ball more out of the backfield, he can create himself a safe floor of PPR production. But we're getting to the point where we might be clicking that button. We'll just have to wait and see. Steven sent in a donation. Thank you very much, sir. Says, number 1, is it mandatory to draft running backs in the first 2 picks? No, it's not mandatory. Okay. Or if you are within the first 5 picks. Okay. So if you're pick 1 through 5, you should draft a running back. When it comes back in the second round, there are wide receivers by the name of DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, that will potentially be available for your picking. Now, if in fact you get to the third round and there's a tight end available, I don't mind going, let's say, for example, I'm the number 3 pick. I don't mind going Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, along with a DK Metcalf or Justin Jefferson, and then grabbing a Kittle and Darren Waller in the third. I don't mind that at all. But the question remains, how is that 4th round going to look? Are you going to go running back, or are you going to go wide receiver? If you go wide receiver in that case, and you're going to settle with an RB2 that is from the 5th round and lower, then you got to grab guys with high upside. You got to hope that potentially a Chase Edmonds ends up going off, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, guys that are being drafted from the 5th round and lower that you could potentially invest in that could end up having great seasons. But no, it's not mandatory to do anything in fantasy football, especially in your drafts. You can find success in any other ways. And again, every draft is going to be different, mainly because the managers that are playing, beside you are going to kind of dictate where you potentially go. You know, when you pick at the number 5 spot and you pick, you know, Ezekiel Elliott and he goes down and comes back around, you're at the mercy of what they end up selecting. If they end up all going running back literally consecutively, okay, great. The next best wide receiver is most likely the best available player and the best decision to potentially make at that point. So you're just going to have to roll with the punches, see how it goes. But there's nothing mandatory. I just prefer to go running backs early because I don't want to have to rely upon Leonard Fournette as my RB3. That's my only issue. But, you know, that's just fantasy football as a whole. It's about balancing your team. Where are you going to take some of the, I guess, discounts and just hope that the upside potentially occurs? And where are you going to find your stability of play? And, of course, in a full PPR, finding a wide receiver in the second round is not a bad decision at all. Ankit sent in a donation. Thank you very much, sir. Again, guys, for those of you who are sending donations, you absolutely do not have to. If you guys, I mean, look, for those of you who sent in like $10, you go over to the Patreon. I just want to go ahead and make this a known fact. If you go over to the Patreon today, my 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide is now available. I'll go ahead and throw that on screen. Available on Patreon. So we're going to leave that there for now. But just to kind of give you some context, I'll answer Ankit's question, and then we'll hop back in here. He said, trade Ridley and Edmonds, that's Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals, for Kamara. It's a 10-team full PPR. I have Tannehill, Christian McCaffrey, Henderson, Ridley, Julio, Waller. Okay. Flex is DJ Moore, and the bench is Damian Harris, Gus Edwards, Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Mike Williams, and Will Fuller. How's my team? I'm making that trade. I'm making that trade right now. Give me Kamara. Yeah. If they want to take Ridley, who is a second-round pick, and Edmonds, who's a fifth-round pick, and they're going to give you one of the top 5 National Football League running backs and a guy that's an unbelievable monster in a full PPR, and you're playing in a full PPR, give me Kamara. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. How's your team? If you get Kamara in that case, and you have Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, your flex ends up being Henderson, and then you're starting Julio and DJ Moore as you're starting 2 wide receivers. You already have Waller at your tight end position. We're going to the chip, baby. Like let's start making these moves. And then you have Brandon Ayuk coming off the bench, who, in my opinion, takes another step forward this year and is absolutely a monster. So, either way, the whole point I was trying to make: Patreon, 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. I just wanted to go ahead because a lot of people hesitate when going to potentially the website. Everything in terms of Patreon is down in the description for those of you who are interested in supporting there. I just wanted to show a couple pages of the draft guide just so we're on the same page, because telling someone, hey, go buy something and just blindly expecting them to do so is not good business. I don't think you should ever do that, and I don't do that. I don't personally ever look at someone and think, oh, they told me to buy it, I'm going to do it. No. That's not how we function as humans, because we need to be convinced. There needs to be an incentive to do so. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what exactly I'm talking about when I'm talking about my draft guide. So I'll throw up a couple pages onto the screen. This is the beginning of my quarterback section for the 2021 season. Again, I worked a lot of hours on this thing, guys. I put in a lot of effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Again, I was up till 10 a.m. this morning finalizing this son of a gun before I released it to the public. You can find this on my Patreon. It's attached to any tier that you go. Well, specifically the 2021 Fantasy Football Championship tier. Again, it is exclusively there this upcoming season. If you want to go ahead and pause it and read it, that's your prerogative. But I just wanted to go ahead and show you the kind of information that I'm specifically trying to give you guys. I'm trying to give you guys my thought processes in regards to drafting the quarterback position. Specifically in this section, I'm talking about the 3 specific factors that makes me interested in specifically grabbing a quarterback. I keep saying specifically, guys. I just can't stop. It's just when I'm trying to improv, it hurts. I haven't had enough sleep, but it's concepts like mobility, consistency, and draft stock, and how those play a factor in the quarterback position, and why those 3 factors all combine to make the perfect quarterback archetype going into our fantasy football seasons, and specifically for 4-point per passing touchdown leagues. Anyway, just wanted to throw that up on screen. Got to kind of give you some perspective. We're talking about quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends in the Fantasy Football Draft Guide. We'll have my rankings there, half PPR, full PPR. At the quarterback position, we have 4-point and 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, top 100 flex players. Of course, a lot of other things over there at the Patreon with exclusive Discord server, weekly conversations. We'll be doing a Q&A and a couple mock drafts tomorrow night, all that kind of stuff. But just putting that into perspective, guys. And as I was saying this, Mr. RM is like, you know what, Andrew, hold my beer. Let me drop 20 on you. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Hey, Andrew, I'm in a 16-team league. Woof. Okay, snake draft. Yep. I've got the number 9 pick. Any advice? I'm in a 16-team league. Woo. Look, at the number 9 pick, it's typically at the point where you're either going with the number 1 or 2 overall wide receiver and or a running back. It's probably, for my idea, it's probably like a Nick Chubb or you go Tyreek Hill. Between the two of those in a half PPR, I'm happy with either. You could even go Travis Kelce, but you want to end up with at least one running back after the first 2 rounds. That is a given. So whether you address that in the first round or address it in the second, that is up to you. If it's me personally, I wouldn't mind going with that first round Tyreek Hill, maybe coming back in the second and grabbing Antonio Gibson. But otherwise, it's go Chubb in the first, and then as it scoops back around in the second round, if there's a running back, you could double up. Otherwise, you go with a wide receiver like Calvin Ridley. That's my thought process. But you for sure want to end up with at least one running back out of the first 2 rounds, considering once the draft goes and comes back, you're going to be in trouble. Okay. Thank you anyway for the donation. But there's a lot of things that have to do with a 16-team league that are super sketchy. Like positional runs, just to kind of give you guys advice. If, for example, you're sitting in a league in which you pick at the end, you're the 1.12, and you went a wide receiver and a tight end in the 4th and 5th round, and all of a sudden you start seeing every single consecutive pick be a quarterback. By the time it comes back to your draft position, you don't have to automatically draft a quarterback there because you know everyone's drafted it, and you can go ahead and invest in value of players that drop to you because the last 24 picks weren't of the running back, wide receiver, tight end variety, and you could dip into that position and get some value there. But anyway, I saw a couple questions here. Finally read the draft guide. It's a work of art. Thank you very much, CB. Let's see here. Thoughts on Cam Akers? Cam Akers is hurt this season. I'm sure you're aware of that, Jet. He broke out at the end of last season, yeah, but he tore his Achilles. So it's all Darrell Henderson all the way this year. What are your thoughts on Deandre Swift? He is a PPR back in a offense in which Anthony Lynn is the offensive coordinator. They targeted their running backs in Los Angeles, specifically for the Chargers, where he was the former head coach. The most out of just about every team in the last 5 consecutive seasons, except for maybe the New Orleans Saints a couple years there. Outside of that, they gave their running backs the most opportunities out of all teams in the past 5 seasons combined under Anthony Lynn's tenure there. So the running back position for the Lions is great, especially considering Deandre Swift can catch the ball. So you might as well potentially go ahead and invest in him in a full PPR. But again, they're in such bad game scripts. Is he going to get enough touches on the ground to give himself that touchdown upside value that a lot of other running backs find on the goal line? That's the question. CeeDee Lamb or Robert Woods in a half PPR? Honestly, as of this current moment in time, I'm probably going CeeDee Lamb there. I think Robert Woods has a high potential of, having another good season, but can he be like the wide receiver 6? Like, can he somehow, some way go from being a mid-range wide receiver 2 to being like a top 5 guy? I don't think he's capable of that at this point of his career. I could see CeeDee Lamb doing that. I think he has way more upside, and especially considering Dak is fully back, they're playing CD on the outside. He could see even more targets this year and have himself a breakout year. So that's why I go CeeDee Lamb there. Zeke or Eckler? I'm going to go Zeke. If it's a full PPR, I could hear the argument of going Eckler, but Zeke is going to be catching the ball 50-plus times anyway out of this backfield. So, sure, Eckler's going to potentially catch the ball 80-plus times, but I think the amount of touchdowns Zeke scores this year closes the gap and gives him the edge in that specific scenario. Okay. Hit that like button. Thank you very much, Michael. Yes, again, there's 200 of you in here. If you guys have not yet already, click that like button down below. It does help grow the channel out a lot and really does help support me, so I appreciate that. Okay, which 2 should I start? Okay, look, Will Clayton, listen, I love you. I know that the question is out of complete sincerity, but as of this moment in time, I have no idea about anything week 1 related. I'm so locked in on just building teams and constructing rosters via drafts that I haven't even looked at week 1 schedule. I have it behind me in a little portfolio where I have my like schedule breakdown for the strength of schedule, and we'll have that video come out next Monday, I believe. Not this Monday, but the following Monday. I think let's check the date on that. Next Monday, the 23rd, I think the strength of schedule week is next week. We'll talk about running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, and that kind of thing. But in terms of week 1, let's be patient on that. That's pretty far away. There's a lot of time between now and then to kind of see how everything figures itself out. 100-yard production says, did you see my first donation? You know what? I was going to say some choice words. I wasn't paying attention. 100-yard podcast. I know you've been around the community for quite some time. Your name is very familiar, of course, especially on Sunday morning. So I appreciate you sending in that donation. I will see your question right now. My bad. I honestly, I don't know why I closed the screen earlier. Okay, so there was a couple other questions that came in that I completely missed. So my apologies for you guys who sent that. I honestly got on today and I didn't expect you guys to send donations. In fact, I didn't want you to send in donations. I wanted you to go to the Patreon, but regardless, let's see here. Highlight was sending a question. Could you do a mock draft? Okay, so the highlight, yeah, we'll do the mock draft in a bit. Steven, the mandatory RB one, yeah, it's not mandatory. Nate sent another question. Can you name 3 mid-round receivers that you like? Okay, can we all say it on 3? If you've been watching the channel for the last couple weeks, we could probably, on the count of 3, all say it together. 1, 2, 3, Deontay Johnson. Exactly. Thank you very much. I'm a fan of Deontay Johnson. Opportunity over everything in fantasy football. The exposure to touching the ball more often is going to lead to more fantasy points. That's just how it works. That's how the entire game is played. And the fact that he was averaging 11 plus targets per game, had 10 plus targets in 10 weeks last season. The only other players that accomplished double-digit targets in double-digit weeks were Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen. Let's go, baby. Another mid-round wide receiver. I like Jamar Chase. I like Brandon Ayuk. Potentially, Cortland Sutton at the back end, if in fact he falls. But there really aren't that many wide receivers that I'm just outright avoiding. Maybe Adam Thielen, I'm like just trying to stay away from him as much as possible because scoring 14 touchdowns last year, that number's coming down. Jefferson's going to be absorbing a lot of that this upcoming season. So let's see here. Boom. David Ramos sent in a question. Andrew, your videos crush it. Welcome back. Thank you very much. Says, my league plays in a 1 point per 10 yard for running back, wide receiver, and quarterback. Full PPR. Please tell me how I should strategize. So you're saying 1 point per 10 yards. Does that even include passing yards? Because if that's the case, I'm ignoring the quarterback position. I don't care about the quarterback position and how it's scored because theoretically, if we just take it into perspective, if every quarterback's getting the exact same amount of points, then we're playing the exact same game. Now, if quarterback is honestly getting a point per 10 passing yards, your league is already washed. Tell your commissioner to reset it because there are going to be games where quarterbacks throw for 400 yards and no one can catch them. Like literally no one will catch them. So hopefully that's not the case. We'll hope that's not the case. But no, David said that is the case. Okay, that's not good. But with that being said, I think because of the fact that the quarterback position as a whole is typically going to score the same amount of points. Yes, there is drop-off in production, but they're typically going to have similar stat lines. You can wait on quarterback. You have to treat it just as anything else. It's not like there's an advantage of getting an early quarterback. Drafting an early quarterback in a league like this in comparison to any other league has the same amount of advantages. That's what I meant to say. You told them? Yeah, David, your league is, I don't know what they're doing. Tom was saying, please rank the most valuable positions in fantasy in your opinion. Running back is by far and away the most important. It's not even close. I would, if I had a ranking system, number 1 is running back. Number 2 is also running back. And then there's a little asterisk saying draft running backs. And then we'll talk about, of course, whether the wide receiver or tight end position is the next most valuable. Because as a whole, let's think about it, right? Tight ends and wide receivers, they literally score in the exact same statistical categories. Receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. They are legitimately the identical players. They just designated as different prospects, right? One's a tight end that can only be slotted or can be slotted in this one start position, and the other ones are wide receivers that can be put in, the wide receiver spot, flex spot, doesn't matter. But you can start 3, 4, depending on your league, wide receivers. As a whole, between the two of them, it's just a matter of what you prefer. I would probably, in this upcoming season, say that the value of players goes running backs again, tight ends are really important, and then the wide receiver position, then quarterbacks. Kickers and defenses can walk home. Let's see here. So 100-yard podcast, sent in another question, said, rate my team. Lamar Jackson, beautiful. Love it already. Austin Eckler, Chris Carson, we're great there. Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, 2 of the top 12. Dallas Goedert, I'm worried already. Look, here's the thing about Dallas Goedert. The fact that Zach Ertz is still on the team, and on top of the fact that Zach Ertz is there, he's probably going to dig into Dallas Goedert's work, because the Eagles, as of the last couple of years, they've been a 2 tight end offensive scheme. I know there's a new coaching staff, but their team is built on the fact that they have 2 stud premier tight ends that could be starters anywhere in the league, but they play together. So hopefully Goedert is fine, gets his targets, and can end up being, at least a top 10 tight end this upcoming season. But there's a little concern there. Nonetheless, you have Allen Robinson as your flex. Chef's kiss. And then we have ourselves the Bucs defense, Young Hoku, my favorite kicker this upcoming season, of course. You know how many games Young Hoku has won me in fantasy football in the last couple seasons? And you have Dobbins on the bench. I mean, this is a 10-team league. I already know that. I like the team. I think the running back depth is certainly there. The wide receiver position, you have 3 of the top 12. I mean, you really can't ask for anything else. The fact that you do have Goedert, now that I've seen your full team, makes sense. You waited on a tight end because you got a lot of great value at the running back and wide receiver position. So in that case, that discount that you took at tight end was certainly made up by the advantages that you're going to get at the wide receiver and running back position, and of course, quarterback. So yeah, good looking team. Let's see here. Darius Coleman, you sent in a dono. I appreciate that. There was no message attached, so if you're still here, I'll try to look out for anything that you send in the chat. Outside of that, Adam sent in things, says, thanks for helping me win the league last year. No problem, man. I'm here to help you guys as much as I possibly can. William says, do I roll a D20? Yes, roll a D20. If you roll anything above a 15, you pass the check. Philly's a dumpster fire. Justin, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. So we're taking Fant. I mean, that's the thing, Justin. Noah Fant is also it's a questionable selection, but he does get a lot of opportunity. Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos, certainly wants to send them the rock, specifically the tight end position. They can end up finding themselves, a fully healthy season out of Noah Fant. I think he could be like the number 7 guy. But it's definitely a notch down from a Kyle Pitts or a Mark Andrews. Thoughts on Gaskin? Yeah, somebody was asking about it earlier. They were saying, do we click the panic button? Let's be easy with it. Gaskin last season was averaging 18 total touches per game in the 11 games that he was healthy. I think it was 10 games actually. My memory is not really serving me well, but I'm pretty sure it was 10 games in the full games that he played that was healthy, 18 touches per game. If he shows up and is that Gaskin this year, he could be a league winner. I swear, he honestly could be a league winner. But if Malcolm Brown's in there rotating, Salvin Ahmed is in there rotating, that's an RBBC that I don't want to mess with. But of course, he potentially has the PPR work there, so that gives him a little bit of upside. You rolled a 14. Help me. Oh, man. Close, but no cigar, William. How about Logan Thomas? I like Logan Thomas. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, based on his history, certainly likes to target the tight end position. I think Logan Thomas very easily is a top 12, overall tight end this upcoming season. And the amount of times that he's on the field, based on the fact that not only is he a receiving tight end, but he can block. I think he was on the field the most amount of times of any tight end last season. He played 1,000 total offensive snaps for the Washington football team last year. So if he's going to be on the field the entire season, Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to find him open often, and he will be able to be a functional fantasy tight end prospect. Let's see here. D-Boy Furious 7 says, opinion on Jonathan Taylor and possible committee issue. I'm not worried about Marlon Mack. I think the biggest concern is, of course, Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines, of course, is going to get himself probably 50 catches, maybe more this upcoming season out of the backfield, assuming Carson Wentz is going to be a little bit like Phillip Rivers. Now, we know Phillip Rivers loves to pass the ball to the backfield to his respective running backs. If we don't end up seeing Carson Wentz checking it down, then we're going to get a situation where it's just Jonathan Taylor all the time, because they're not going to have to put in Nyheim Hines if he's not getting any work. You might as well just put in the guy in the backfield that can pass block, and then maybe if in fact chip block and go out for like a route on the flat. Let's see here. JD sent in a question, but there is no. Oh, okay. Choose two: Mixon, Gibson, or Najee. Between the three, I had a video that I posted the other day. It was running back rankings between number 11 through 20. It has Joe Mixon on the thumbnail. If you haven't checked that out already, go check that out. Kind of give you more extensive view of those three specific players. I have those guys as my number 11, 12, and 13th ranked running backs as of right now. I'll take Gibson and Najee Harris over Mixon going into 2021. Where's your favorite place to draft in a 12-team PPR league? I want a top 6 pick. That's what I want. Specifically, I want a top 6 pick because I want to have one of the premier stud running backs. Then in the third round, I want to take Darren Waller. That's what I want. I don't care about what I do in the second round. If it's a wide receiver or running back, so be it. Whatever falls to me that is of the greatest value, I'll take. But I want a premier running back of the top 6 caliber, and I want Darren Waller. Let's see here. Saints pass catchers, Andrew. Yeah, I did a video the other day, Ali, that I was talking about Quan Smith. Forget that. Okay, so mainly the video was like guys that you want to draft that are sleepers, right? I talked about Marvin Jones, who the other day looked incredible with Trevor Lawrence. I talked about Jalen Waddle, who I don't even know if he even played the other day. He had like a punt return. Like, what are they doing? All the receivers are hurt. Why isn't he playing in the preseason of all games? And then we had Quan Smith. Quan Smith is hurt. Marquez Callaway. There it is. Marquez Callaway already has proven himself to be far and away maybe the most valuable sleeper this upcoming season. That's who we want to draft, especially with Taysom Hill getting the first team reps the other night. I'm already convinced Taysom Hill's a starter. It's over. So we want Marquez Callaway in every single one of our drafts in the double-digit rounds. That's what we're looking for, guys. What are we looking for here? How do you like Aaron Rodgers? I wanted someone better. Is he a top 6? I don't think he's top 6. I think as of right now, he could be top 6, but we're going to see some regression. There's no way you can have 51 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. It's just not. It's not. It's not something that we see. I think the stat that I found the other day was, in terms of mobile passing quarterbacks, the league has obviously been taken over by the Daks, the Russell Wilsons, the Kylers, the Josh Allens of the league. But in terms of pocket passers, in the last decade, we've only seen like 8 quarterbacks have seasons of where they're like 4,300 passing yards and 35 to 40 passing touchdowns. Like it's very seldom do we see quarterbacks have incredible years. Doing it back to back is going to be tough for Aaron Rodgers. I can assure you that. Aaron Orozco says, great to see you back, Andrew. I appreciate it. 11th pick in a 12-team league. Should I go running back, or should I go running back with an elite wide receiver pair? At this point, it depends who the 2 running backs are. If, in fact, you're at the number 11 spot and you can somehow, some way, on the snake, on the return, get yourself a combination of Tyreek Hill and Austin Eckler, I'm good with that. I'm more than happy, especially in a full PPR league. If, in fact, you're at the back end of the first, someone like Aaron Jones somehow, some way falls to you, great. We'll grab Aaron Jones, come back in the second round, pick up a Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley. I'm good with that as well. But going double running back in the first 2 rounds in a full PPR requires you get Austin Eckler as one of those selections, and that your second selection is another guy that is going to catch the ball 50 plus times. Because if he's not going to be of the value of that wide receiver that's respectively on the board. You're going to have to go wide receiver there. Steven C20 says, how How to best decide RB or wide receiver in the second round depends on your scoring format and where you select specifically. It's a very complicated situation. I would say there's a lot of mock draft videos, a lot of 50-minute videos I've posted in the last couple of days that kind of take it more in depth. But I would say it really depends on where you're selecting and who is available on the board and the scoring format. There's so many variables in fantasy football that can dictate where you go. Because if I'm in the back end of the first round, and like I'm saying, I see Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler as my back-to-back picks. I'm like, damn, and Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, those two studs are gone. I'm like, yeah, why not go double running back? I can come back in the third and fourth round, pick up guys that are of incredible value, like a Julio Jones and or a CeeDee Lamb in the third, fourth, and then my wide receiver, my running backs are stacked. But again, it's just a matter of where you're selecting. Tanner was saying 10th pick in a 10-team league. Who are you targeting with the first two picks? What are you doing in the third and fourth? Look, again, it's really ambiguous what my answer can be because there's, again, like I was mentioning, so many variables available in fantasy football, Tanner. I don't know who's available. What am I looking for in a 10-team league? At the end of the first round, probably going wide receiver and running back because I think the rest of your league is most likely going to be hard set on just funneling and kind of, I guess, putting on the blinders and going running back, that you might end up getting one of the top two wide receivers at the 10 spot and then turn it around because you're right on the edge and you're not playing in a 12-team league. You're not worried about the guys behind you snagging the players you want. You could probably go like a Tyreek Hill and then go with the best available running back. Maybe even Saquon drops to you. I swear, I've seen it. I'm not even kidding. I've seen Saquon and Tyreek Hill on the same team this year. So I don't mind going RB wide receiver there, especially in a full PPR. Now, if two running backs of incredible value, like I was mentioning earlier, drop to me, then that's where I'll go. DJ was saying off topic, but what shows you watching on Netflix? I don't watch much TV. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't really find much time for that. Netflix is not, like, I don't even have a TV in my room, just to kind of put it in perspective. So anything I watch is on this computer. What have I been watching as of late? Anime. That's what I've been watching. My Hero Academia. That's literally what I've been watching in the last month plus now. That guy Kevin says, thoughts on Myles Gaskin? You're the fifth person to ask, and I don't blame you because it is very sketchy. I mentioned it before, and I'll go ahead and reiterate my opinions on him as of right now. Daniel saying Beasley is sleeper. Absolutely. I'll talk about that in a bit. That guy Kevin. Myles Gaskin, last season, 10 games, 18 touches per game. Unstoppable fantasy production. Looked great with Fitzpatrick. Was okay with Tua. Can be an RB that's probably within the top 15 if there's no one else touching the ball out of the backfield. But the issue is Salvin Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, formerly of the Los Angeles Rams, are coming in to take some value. And that in itself is horrible. That is a scary prospect. And that's why I'm a little bit hesitant on that. Now, someone earlier was saying, is Cole Beasley a sleeper? The fact of the matter is, he is. And I'll tell you exactly why. Last season in a full PPR, he finished as the number 24, 25 wide receiver, maybe 21. You know what? Why am I guessing when I can actually just go pull up the stat line here? Let me go to my Google Sheet. We go here. We go to the 2021 section. We'll go here. We'll go full PPR. Let's put it in perspective, guys. We go to the wide receiver position. Okay, we've done all the settings. Last season, Cole Beasley in a full PPR was the number 27 overall wide receiver, having produced 207.5 fantasy points. That's about 13.07 fantasy points per game. Putting that in perspective. He's currently getting drafted off the board at wide receiver 55. He finished within the top 36 in back-to-back years. He's seen over 100 targets in back-to-back years. A lot of people want to talk about, the potential of Emmanuel Sanders in that offense, maybe Gabriel Davis. Give me Cole Beasley as the number 2 on that team as my depth at the wide receiver position for sure. Dogcat What said Keeper League, no penalty. Already keeping Saquon and Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's no penalty for keeping. Wow, okay. So you're not sacrificing a pick. So who do I want for the immediate future? Ooh, jeez. Am I crazy for saying that I want Clyde Edwards? I don't know. If it's a full PPR league, man, what can Clyde Edwards do? We saw such a limited work from him last year, but I think he could be a stud. Man, it's tough. Because look, when I think about a keeper league, okay, I'm really thinking down the line. If you're trying to win this year, you go Calvin Ridley. That's my 100% thought process. If you're trying to win a championship this year, let's go ahead and keep Calvin Ridley. If we're thinking in the future, I'm thinking in the next couple years, maybe even next year, Matt Ryan's getting replaced. Who's going to be his fill? I don't know. Who's going to be throwing the ball to Calvin Ridley? I don't know. And that begins to kind of make me a little bit hesitant. When I think of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I know that he's still young, going into his second year in the NFL, could have a lot of potential with this Chiefs offense for the next 5+, maybe 6 years, if in fact he's healthy and ends up being what he's shown to be. But that's just my thought process right now. Connor Park says, thank you for the donation, by the way, guys. Thanks for helping out, getting me to the championship last year. I'm worried about the 9th and 10th pick in a 10-team half PPR. My goodness. Don't think Waller will fall to me. Yeah, it's definitely not you're not going to get Waller in the 3rd. No way. Take Devontae over Chubb. Snag Kelsey. Doubt Waller comes back. If you go with a start in which you're going wide receiver and tight end in a 10-team league, I'm okay with it. Because I think you can get okay running back volume in the 3rd round. Maybe Chris Carson, Darrell Henderson, maybe. But that's the only time that I'm willing to do it is in a 10-team league. If you go wide receiver, or wide receiver tight end. But between Chubb and Devontae Adams in a full PPR, in a half PPR, I could go either way. In a full PPR, it's just not even an argument. It's legitimately Devontae Adams 100% of the time. Yeah, so a couple of you are talking about the audio. I'm aware that it's only coming out of 1 year. I would have to stop the stream as a whole to fix it. So earlier, I just decided we're just going to keep rolling with the punches, considering everyone's here. But I do appreciate you guys kind of battling through it. It does mean a lot to me. So I will be sure to, this is a new mic. I'll be sure to try to, of course, test it out, see exactly what is wrong with it and why it's only coming out of 1 year for you guys. It's very interesting. I never had that issue, even when I record my videos. So it's something with this live stream that made it go haywire. But either way, I'll fix it. Don't worry. Let's see here. What are we doing? Okay, so Steven sent in another question. I'm in a 12-man league, full PPR, have the number 5 pick of the 1st round. If someone like Carson is available for round 2, who are your wide receivers? You are realistically taking him over. Okay, taking over him. There's a lot of guys, man. I mean, to be honest, Steven, that is a question that you can find very easily in my 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Go over to the Patreon. Patreon link is down in the description of the video. Again, like I've mentioned, guys, I spent a lot of time this offseason putting together this draft guide, putting together all the rankings and all of the extra content that will be on my Patreon. To be honest, Steven, that is a very tough question to answer off the top of my head. There is a lot of guys that I would take over Chris Carson. Potentially even in a full PPR, the top 12 wide receivers, maybe even more. But it just depends. Again, if you're in the 2nd round and you're fishing for Carson, I think you're already in trouble. You might as well go wide receiver in a lot of the scenarios. Cozy Solo says, what do you think about Russell Gage Jr. as a flex? I'm okay with Russell Gage. I just don't know how much opportunity he's going to get in this offense. I know he saw 100 targets last year, was a decent full PPR play. But as a whole, I think there's going to be a lot of work for Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley in that offense. If he ends up being the 3rd, maybe 4th receiving target, it's not as potentially valuable as a asset that he was last year. I'm a little hesitant on it. As a guy that I'm going to leave at the end of the bench, I'm okay with that. But you're going to have a pretty deep bench to be holding a guy like Russell Gage. Garrett Botkin sent in the question, 12-team full PPR. I have Mostert and was offered Trey Sermon straight up for Javonte Williams. I don't have a solid RB2, so San Francisco backfield or Williams? That is a really good question. Raheem Mostert is potentially going to already go down with an injury. I don't know, man. It's tough. If it's me and I'm trying to solidify the San Francisco backfield, it's not a bad idea. But how are we 100% certain that Trey Sermon's going to be the next guy up if Raheem Mostert goes down? We don't know. Elijah Mitchell's there. We have Wayne Gallman. There's a lot of guys. But if it's me, man, I would say you could probably, oh man, I'd keep Javonte Williams. I'm going to keep him for now. I just want to see how that pans out, honestly. Because if Raheem Mostert stays fully healthy, he's going to be the full-time guy in that backfield. And if Javonte Williams win his job, then great. But if Mostert goes down with an injury, at least you still have Javonte Williams, who could end up being his starting, respective teams back. Okay, so we are at 6:55. I do appreciate you guys being here. 250 of you in the chat. If you guys haven't yet already, click that like button down below. There's a lot of you guys, and there's a lot of questions. If you're trying to get all of your 2020 fantasy football answers or questions answered, my goodness, you can go ahead, go down in the description, support me on the Patreon. Just check it out. You don't have to, join. Your viewership, you being someone that's actively here, helping the community. For those of you who are already a part of the Discord community that is free, down in the description, that's all I ask for. Your legitimate just activity and helping grow this channel. That's all I could ask for. But if you want to get the extra access to the rankings and all that kind of stuff, it's there. That's the last time I'm going to mention it today. Again, real quick glance as to what we have inside of the 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. This is the beginning of the quarterback section. Just to kind of give you perspective. These are full pages. I'm just, I'm cutting them off just so that we're kind of seeing what's going on. Okay. I did promise that we were going to do mock draft. Give me a moment to set this up. Should I start Darrell Henderson over Gage at the flex? I would do so, yes. Even without knowing who they play in week 1, because I'm so locked in on what this upcoming, I'm still drafting teams and thinking of that kind of stuff. I would say that, yeah, I'd still go Darrell Henderson. Mel Gibson says, damn, you missed my super chat. Mel Gibson, where did you donate, my guy? Oh, there it is. All right, I see it now. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. Standard, should I go with an RB in the first and an RB in the second, or tight end in the second? Okay, so theoretically, if you are at the back end of the first round and you can grab a stud running back and follow it with Travis Kelce, I'm great with that. Cool, perfect. If you select in the beginning of the first round and you select a stud running back, comes back in the second, and you want to grab Darren Waller or George Kittle and then follow up with a wide receiver or running back in the third, that's great. I want one of the top 3 tight ends if I can get them at even greater value than what I typically can. Specifically, if I can get Travis Kelce in the second, Darren Waller and or George Kittle in the third round, that's what I want them at. I don't want to reach. I mean, typically, reaching doesn't matter per se because theoretically, just hear me out. If I'm sitting at the back end of the first, if I draft Kelce 2 picks before he was going to go, it doesn't matter because he was going to go anyway, right? The draft was going to go down and come back around, and regardless, there was a gap of players that were going to get plucked out of the potential eligible, players to pick from. So, either way, I really do like drafting tight end relatively early, potentially third round between Darren Waller, George Kittle kind of guys, if you're selecting early in the draft. Can you throw some NFL betting options your way throughout the year? Can I? Okay. Get your opinions on spreads. I'm going to be totally honest, Michael. If you want to win money, you should probably not ask me. Okay. I'll tell you this way, Michael. If you are throwing spreads at me, like -3.5 the Chargers or whatever that, I'm going to get that wrong probably 90% of the time. But in terms of picking just the straight who's going to win, last year I had a 70% accuracy rate in terms of picking just the winner straight up. So money line, I'm decent with. So if you're cool with money lines, great. There's not a lot of money to make with money lines, but I'm decent there. I've watched enough football, I've watched enough tape to know who's going to win the games, But outside of that, don't ask me about none of the other stuff. I'm not as sharp. I'm not one of those guys. Okay, you're not that guy, pal. Okay, so I'm going to set up this mock draft. There's a lot of you in here. I am probably going to need a second to really set this sucker up. Give me a moment, guys. I have to go and find a link and I can share it to you guys. Okay, so we're going to make... Okay, I'm just curious. The chat, what do you guys want to see? Usually I don't ask this, right? I just put out videos. What format? How many teams? Maybe we do more teams to get more of you in here. But I don't know. It depends what you want to see. Do you want to see 12 team? Do you want to see full PPR, half PPR, 10 team? whatever the majority is that I see out of this chat in the next coming minute, that'll be where it is. After we do this mock draft, that's where I end it. Are you using Sleeper? Yeah, I'll be using Sleeper. Why can't I hear anything? Let me think. The audio. Let me apologize in advance. Okay, 12 team full PPR. Yep. Half PPR. Okay, I do enough half PPRs. Let's just do the full PPR. That's fine. All right, so let me go and set this up, guys. Settings, draft settings, full PPR, 12 teams. Selections are going to be 30 seconds. I can't be here all day, guys. I can't. If we do a 60-second per pick draft, I'll be here till 8 o'clock. Like, actually. So the following thing is, besides what draft, we've already determined 12 team PPR. That's what we're doing. What pick number? Should I just pick one? I'll just probably pick one. There's going to be so many options. There's 1 through 12. It's just, a couple more things came through. Drew Nunn says, what do you use for your beard? I will tell you right now. I use literally zero anything. I don't use oils. I don't use this garbage. I don't even comb this thing. This is just pure genetics on top of Baby Johnson. That's it. That is it. Thank you very much. Hashtag ad Baby Johnson. Johnson & Johnson want to sponsor a video for the beard. That's why I don't get any shaving company videos, because they know that they never, come on, maybe here, but like not here, guys. It's not going to work. Cozy was saying last one, Corey Davis over Henderson. Engaged? No. Give me Henderson. Navy Vet says, rate my team. Aaron Rodgers, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders. Okay, we're looking good already. Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. Love those wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, Amari as your flexes. Ooh, TJ Hawkinson. I mean, look, to be honest, I really like the team. But that's the thing about 10-team leagues. Every team is a freaking all-star team. Could you please fix the audio? Only coming out of the left ear. Jacob, for some reason, that has been the issue today. I don't know how to fix it. I have not experienced that before. The only way I'd be able to fix it is if I shut down the whole stream. We're already this far. We're just going to power through to the end. My apologies, guys. I will have it fixed by the time we do a next live stream. I don't know why I did that today. It's so weird. But I'll resolve the issue. I got to obviously go and figure it out. It's going to take me a while. There's a lot of tech stuff that I got to learn as we continue. All right, so we're going to be drafting 1 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, 3 starting wide receiver positions, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 1 kicker, 5 defensive bench spots. We're going to save that. Unfortunately, not all of you will get in here. That is just a pure fact. It is a first come, first serve. If you are trying to mock draft, more often, go join the Discord server. It's free. It's down in the description of the video. I do a lot of mock drafts there where I just, randomly send a link, say, hey guys, come on in, and, let's get it done. Okay. Where do I want to select from? That's the decision. I got to grab a spot before I invite you guys, because you guys are going to flood the gates. Do I go with the, a lot of people were asking me back end of the first. I think that's where we go. I think that's just probably, that's probably where we go. A lot of people were asking me back end of the first questions, because it's really kind of sketchy there. So that's what we'll do. We'll go back into the first. Did I accidentally just open a program? Damn it. All right, give me a second, guys. What am I doing? It's all coming. Okay, so this is what we need to do. First and foremost, we need to go. The ball's coming. Don't be afraid. Here. Okay, cool. I'm picking at the number 10 spot. That's not it. Copy invite link. Okay, give me a second. Going back. Here it comes. So, what I need to do actually is I need to do this. Okay, everything's set up. You guys can join accordingly. Dude, it is legit, and I don't want to curse. I'm not kidding. It's probably 85 degrees in my house right now. It is so effing hot in here. I do appreciate you guys being here with me today, supporting the channel. If you haven't yet already, check out the Patreon. I just had to throw it out there. Okay, who's sitting around me? Highlight. Okay, cool. The guy that was asking if we were going to do a draft. He's sitting at number 9 to snipe every selection I make. Bless you. I love you guys. All right. Let's see here. Sag. There's one more spot left. My bad. Vexen. That is Sag. I mean, again, it was a buzzer beater situation. Just here we go, guys. We begin. We're just gonna fly through this. Listen, I'm not even kidding. If anybody auto drafts here, I'm gone. We gotta be on it, guys. We have to be on it, full speed ahead. Okay, so as we can see, the beginning of the draft is relatively scripted in the fact that we are going to get all of the running backs coming off the board. Is it a mistake? Absolutely not. We, of course, should probably see Alvin Kamara come off the board next with a combination of Zeke, Saquon, Aaron Jones, and then maybe Devontae Adams and a slew of wide receivers, maybe a tight end even before my selection. We'll see how it goes. Let's see here. Running back. Okay. We get to see a wide receiver taken. Highlight, what are you going to do? That is the question, to be or not to be. I have one of two selections that I'm going to make. Nice. He went Austin Eckler. I was going to... Dude. I was going to go there. Look, okay, so I could either go running back or I could go wide receiver. At this current moment in time, I do like running back. If Saquon's fully healthy and I'm getting him at the back end of the first, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, if Saquon is going to be injured, then that's why I want to draft on September 5th, Labor Day weekend. I don't want to draft right now and end up investing, but that's a different conversation as a whole. Not all of us have the liberty. Some of us want to do live drafts with our friends and family and want to be able to, do it in the living room or whatever, or, get a draft board and really excel in that kind of stuff and enjoy the moment. You have to do it earlier in order to kind of get everybody in one, specific spot. But either way, listen, if I'm going to take Saquon Barkley in the in the first, we're not in a bad spot here. I mean, this team's already looking like it's going to be nice. But let me see here. Cozy was said, last one. Okay, my team is Wilson. Excuse me, let me go to move this. He took Tyreek Hill. I wanted Tyreek Hill so bad. Man, I talked about it earlier. I could get Tyreek Hill and Saquon in the first round because I've seen it before. Look, I'm not going running back here. I'll go wide receiver specifically. It's either Calvin Ridley or it's Stephon Diggs. Everybody wants me to go Stephon Diggs. I honestly like Calvin Ridley more. That's just my thought process. I think he really is going to be an exceptional wide receiver play this year. But we'll go ahead and see how this kind of draft pans out at the back end of the first in a full PPR. Travis Kelce coming off the board. That's a good pick. So what was this question? Wilson, Mixon, Eckler, Diggs, Woods, Hawkinson, Henderson, 12-man league. I was the number 8 pick. What do you think of my team? I mean, as of right now, that's a good-looking team. I'm trying to figure out what you went in the first round. You went Eckler and Mixon back-to-back? That's sketchy. Oh, no, you went Eckler and Diggs. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Just making sure. I was like, hold up. What's going on here? You know what I should have gone, guys? What are you saying? Jacob was saying, why not consider Hopkins? No, look, Hopkins is going to be the number 5 receiver this year. He has no potential. I mean, he has the potential to break into that top, 3 conversation. But in terms of what he's done in the last couple of years, his touchdown totals haven't been that high. They're bringing in more offensive weapons into that offense. I think there's potential that if, in fact, we get into a scenario in which Hopkins is not scoring double-digit touchdowns, he's not going to be a top 5 guy in that conversation. I messed up. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know why I didn't go Kelsey. I literally started reading a question, then went and got hard fixed on Ridley. I literally was saying that I want to draft Kelsey in the second round. It was on a platter for me, and I didn't do it. See, this is what happens when you're not, mentally locked in. Because I should have went Saquon and Kelsey there. Because the wide receiver value that's going to come back down and around here is going to be premium. Yeah, that's my mistake. I don't even know what happened. Like, legit, just Tyreek Hill came off the board and you mind blank. It's okay. It happens. Let's see what other questions we have in the chat. You have a second pick in a 14-team PPR league. How do you feel about taking 3 running backs in the first 3 selections? Not too much of a fan of that. I would potentially say that your best bet is to for sure get 2 running backs in the first 3, accompanied with a tight end and or a wide receiver. George Kittle, of course. Darren Waller coming off the board. Man, it is so hot in this room, guys. I am dying. Jamal Williams or A.J. Dillon? That's a great question. Nathan, as of right now, I'd say if you're in a full PPR league, the value is within Jamal Williams. It just is. He's going to get a lot of work out of the backfield. So that in itself, just guaranteed. If, in fact, you're playing in a half, maybe standard, I don't mind going A.J. Dillon. The potential upside of him becoming a bigger role in this offense. Maybe Aaron Jones goes down with another injury. Get ourselves a pretty decent scenario there. Okay, where are we at here? What do the running backs look like? Look at this is the problem, guys. The running back position is just torched. It's so disgusting, man. It hurts my soul. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, how many seconds do I have? 14. It hurts. So, do I want to go? Oh my gosh. It hurts. I have to draft a running back here, man. I can't go no. Man. It hurts so bad, but I have to. I got to draft running back. I have to. If I don't take running back now, Albert Yang right there is going to take the running back right in front of my face. And if and when he does, I'm going to sit there and be like, do I want Kareem Hunt to be my RB2? Not really. Just to kind of give you some perspective on having Kareem Hunt as your RB2 this upcoming season, guys, just so we're all on the same page. In the last 5 years in the National Football League, there have been 12 running back pairs. So 2 guys that share the same backfield in the same given year that have made the top 24 running backs in that same season. For example, last year, of course, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were both in the top 24. So in the last 5 years, there have been 12 pairs of running backs. Of those 12 pairs, 11 of those pairs came from offenses that were in the top 12 in total running back opportunities. If you're going to invest in a running back that is sharing a backfield with another guy and anticipate them being a top potential 24 guy, they have to be in an offense that runs the ball or feeds their running backs the ball a lot. Okie dokie. We come back in this round and Mike Evans is still on the board. That's just a no-brainer at that point. I'll take him. He's my number 12 receiver this year. Should I draft my second RB now? Where is Steven? 1.07? Wait, what? I don't understand this. Sorry, should have drafted my... okay, I got you. No, my bad. Okay, let's get into this chat. Who are the round 5 through 7 running back picks that you're looking to grab? I'm looking for a high upside, guys. I want guys that could potentially be the starting running backs of their respective teams. If I'm in a full PPR, I don't mind going Chase Edmonds as my RB3 flex play here. I don't mind going and maybe investing in Javonte Williams, and maybe he ends up being the starting running back for his team. Otherwise, give me Melvin Gordon at his value. Donation came in from Rockstar. Have no question. Just wanted to say, keep up the great work. I'm looking forward to the content this season. Take care, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Does your draft strategy change at all between 10 through 11 or 10 through 12 team leagues? Typically, I would say that in a 10-team league, there's far less potential for you being punished by your league mates. in the idea that when you make a selection, the following selection isn't going to be that much of a risk. Like when I click, okay, so for example, when I picked Saquon Barkley at the number 1.10 spot, I knew Tyreek Hill was likely to come off the board by the time it came back to me. Therefore, you have to just kind of weigh the options in comparison in a 10-team league. In a 10-team league, when I'm sitting at the number 8 spot, I'm not that worried about, X, Y, or Z players being drafted, because there's so much more value and depth of the positions, because there's a full 2 teams that aren't selecting, that the value that's going to come back to you is always going to just be great. Thoughts on Herbert? Probably a top 7 quarterback this year. The fact that quarterbacks are coming off in the 4th, yuck. Absolutely yuck. I'm okay with it, but it's just yuck. I don't know. Like Josh Allen in the 4th, I don't want any part of that. Patrick Mahomes, I'll take it. Patrick Mahomes has by far and away been the most consistent quarterback in fantasy in the last, 3 years, since 2018. You want to know how good Patrick Mahomes has been? He's had more games of 4+ touchdowns than he's had games of 0 or 1 touchdowns only scored. It's an 11-9 ratio. So Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he's a stud. Mike Davis is so underrated. Yeah, I talked about him already this offseason. Some of my must-draft mid-round running backs. I talked about guys like Darrell Henderson, Chris Carson, but Mike Davis was on that list. He's probably going to get the full workload of his respective offense, and a lot of people are able to low-key snag him late in drafts. Thielen, Lockett, Godwin, Deontay Johnson. That's not bad at all. Not at all. Look, where the second pick went here, with going Dalvin, Deandre Swift, Darren Waller, that's a great start. You get 2 running backs and a tight end, and the depth of talent that you find in the 4th and 5th rounds at wide receiver. It's too good to pass up on, guys. It's too good. I'm in a Superflex league, so QBs always go early. Yeah, they should. There should be at least the top 12 quarterbacks taken off the board in the first 2 rounds, typically. Let's see here. Yeah, the Superflex format is, it's interesting. Hurts a sleeper? Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is a sleeper. There's a lot of value to be had with him. The fact that he's probably going to run for like 600 yards this year is just insane. So it just kind of pays for himself. Look, the fact that Dwayne is able to get Mike Davis there in the 4th. Ooh, he didn't go wide receiver there. I think he should have went wide receiver. But we'll see. Maybe the draft comes back to him. Ends up putting together some good value there. Why is Kareem Hunt started in my bag? Okay, cool. What are we looking at here? Mark Andrews, Hawkinson still on the board. We got Russ. All right, not bad. Juju Smith-Schuster. Not bad at all. Let's see. What's that wide receiver here? We have Galladay. Yeah, wide receiver is not something that I'm looking to invest in here. Do I want... No, I want TJ Hawkinson here. What are these guys going to pick? Yeah, give me TJ Hawkinson here. I'm probably going to scoop around here. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. I'm like kind of showing it almost. Leonardo says, hey, Andrew, love the videos. I have the 6th pick in my league this year. Considering skipping on Devontae Adams and going running back. Does that make sense? In a half PPR, sure. In a full PPR, I would say you probably want to. 6th pick? Yeah, I mean, look. Let's just look at the board right now. If the 6th pick arrives and you're playing in a full PPR and Austin Eckler or Aaron Jones is there, it's okay to make that decision, but I still think that Devontae Adams is a pretty big steal there in the early rounds, especially in a full PPR. High-end quarterbacks score the most points. Why wouldn't he draft a top 5 QB over some wide receiver? Okay, so let me explain to you the difference between drafting a guy like Josh Allen in the 4th round. In the last, since 2013, every quarterback that has finished as the number 1 overall quarterback in fantasy has had a regression of 50+ fantasy points. So if you go ahead and you slap a 50+ fantasy point regression onto Josh Allen this upcoming season, it's not guaranteed, but it's likely based on history. Oh shoot, I'm on the clock. See, I can't even concentrate. This is why drafting in this spot is a sketchy one. Do I go Herbert here or do I go Russell Wilson? I like my Russell Wilson. Taking Josh Allen there with a 50-point fantasy regression, getting him to like 350 points, and buying him in the 4th round, in comparison to the fact that you probably drafted him in the 8th round last year, you're already losing value because you're drafting him as to who he was last year and now who he's going to be this year. You can't draft like that. You have to draft under the assumption that there's going to be there's going to be some sort of regression, because you can't come off of a season of putting up those kind of statistics and not fall back just a tad bit there. Now, I understand it's a 17-game season overall, but per game, it's going to be a little bit of a slump. Do you think Josh Jacobs is a bad RB2? No, I don't think so. I think he's fine. A lot of people think that Kenyon Drake is going to get a lot more work than he is. I still think Josh Jacobs could score himself, 8 touchdowns maybe this year. It's a run-first team. That's just the fact of the matter. After always, of course, throwing the ball to Darren Waller. Let's see here. Okay. Why are we ignoring Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, Brandon Ayuk going in the 5th is very interesting. I mean, no, it's typically where he's going to go. But I'll tell you this. In terms of what Brandon Ayuk's potential ceiling is this upcoming season, it's going to 100% be contingent on whether or not Deebo Samuel is the number one receiving option in the offense. Because George Kittle is going to get his targets. Now the question remains, who's going to be the next receiving option? Because the guy who's the 3rd receiving option in this offense isn't going to be an RB2 or wide receiver 2, excuse me. Let's say, for example, let's take into account, if we look at an offense that has a stud tight end, Travis Kelce, and then we look at Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce gets the most targets on that team. He is theoretically the number 1 receiving option. The number 2 receiving option on that team is Tyreek Hill. Who's the number 3 receiving option on that squad? We don't have one. It was Sammy Watkins for the last couple of years, but he wasn't a wide receiver 2. So when we think about the distribution of targets in an offense, when you already have a stud tight end there, it is really sketchy to go ahead and potentially try to invest in Brandon Ayuk versus Deebo Samuel, because one of them is going to be the guy that takes that next step forward, which I think it's going to be Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel is going to take the backseat role in terms of the wide receiver position for that team. But just kind of putting that into perspective, like when you have a stud tight end and a stud receiver, the number 3 option is very seldom going to be a guy that we're banging the table for. Would you handcuff Josh Jacobs if Drake is still around in the 7th or 8th? No. I don't want to use 2 of my top 7 picks to solidify one running back role that I'm not even guaranteed is an actual thing. Like, I don't know how much work either of them are going to get. So if I'm going to draft Jacobs, I want Jacobs in the 4th. If I'm going to draft Kenyon Drake, I want him in the 10th. I don't want to have to... Oh, I'm on the clock. My bad. I don't want to have to go and spend too much for these guys, respectively. Okay. Of the available players, I want to go wide receiver here. How much time do I have on the clock? I'm going to auto pick, huh? Damn. No, I'm not. I will take Laviska Shenault here. ETN is my RB2. Where was my mistake? Where are you in this draft? So you went Kamara in the 1st, AJ Brown in the 2nd, George Kittle in the 3rd. That's not a problem at all. ETN in the 4th, Jamar Chase in the 5th. Look, I don't even see that you have a problem with this team. If Travis Etienne is the RB1 of that team, gets himself 40 catches this year, you're in a good spot. You went ahead and you drafted running back and tight end perfectly in tandem. I think you're thumbs up, good to go. Speaking of Deebo Samuel, he came off the board, interestingly enough. But yeah, no, I think going Kamara, ETN, and Melvin Gordon it's a nice running back trio. I like AJ Brown with Jamar Chase there, Kittle and Herbert. Good selections there overall. Highlight was saying, what do you think of my team? Austin, dude, just for transparency purposes, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, last season, I had a couple teams where I started with those two. And, of course, they both got injured, and they were horrible. And those leagues that I had them in, obviously, I didn't win any games. I have some PTSD when I look at that as the start of a draft. Legitimately, I have PTSD. Like I'm just, it hurts me. Like I have an actual physical revolt to the idea of going Mixon and Eckler. But that's the only reason why I don't, like, I'm not going crazy about it. Which you actually should have done, which was my mistake because I wasn't paying attention, was you should have went Travis Kelce in the second round there. Okay, what are we looking at again here? Trey Sermon came off the board. Cool. So these are... Okay. Yo! Okay, sorry. Gosh. I'm clicking like a madman. This is where I want to go ahead and grab high upside running backs. It's between Damian Harris and Michael Carter. I'll just go Damian Harris here because I know for a fact he'll start week 1 as the starter of this respective team. And that'll be my RB3 there. Let's see here. What are some good trade targets for Claypool? I'd like to move him. I mean, you want other wide receivers. So, if I'm assuming that's what you want. If you want a running back, that's going to be a little bit tricky, especially before the season starts. Nice Michael Carter selection there. The whole question is, what wide receiver can you get in exchange for him? Is Chase Claypool even been drafted in this draft? Yeah, he has. He's a 6th round guy. Looking at the other available wide receivers that were selected before him and after him, I mean, look, if you can somehow, some way, this offseason, turn Chase Claypool into Deontay Johnson. GG. Hey, Andrew, I picked CEH over Mixon. Did I make a mistake? No, I wouldn't say it's objectively a mistake. Not in any capacity. I think it's just a matter of what you anticipate from a player. If you think that Clyde Edwards is going to score more points than Joe Mixon, then we're in a good spot. Have they both dealt with injury? Yeah, they both were injured last year. Joe Mixon's was, of course, far more significant. Joe Mixon also has the worst offense, has the worst offensive line in comparison to the two of them. Will get receiving work and does get the opportunities on the ground in scoring situations in terms of goal line touchdowns. Mixon has that in his advantage. I think there's an argument for going either way. I personally have Mixon just slightly ahead of Clyde Edwards in my rankings for a half PPR, but in a full PPR, if Mixon's not getting that Giovanni, 40 to 50, 60 catching ceiling, then, Clyde Edwards is probably the better pick there. Tutorials Unlimited sending in some donos, but there's no mess. Oh, there it is. There's the messages. Okay. Hey, Andrew, I picked. Oh, yeah. So that was the question. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that I caught that. Because, again, this chat, yes, you have been distracting me, but I will survive. Okay. Dallas Goedert coming off the board in the 8th. Let's see here. Leonard Fournette in the 8th. Yeah, I don't mind Leonard Fournette either. It's just, look, that's the thing. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette with both taken in the 8th. How do we know which one to start? We legit don't know. But if they're playing against the Carolina Panthers, start both of them. That is my message to you. Why are you high on taking a good tight end early? Kraken, I would say go and watch the video because there is like a 15-minute statistical explanation behind that. That at this point, if I tried to break into it, I would be here for the next hour. So yeah, there's a wide statistical arc of ideas behind that. So let's see here. Eckler or Najee, in both formats, full or half PPR, I'll take Austin Eckler any day of the week. Should 10th pick full PPR if Barkley falls, go Barkley or Eckler? It depends when you're selecting because look, we're drafting today, August 16th. If we're going to draft today and we don't know if, what the status of Saquon Barkley is to the nth degree, like we know for sure he's playing week 1. If we don't know that, then is it worth making the investment and then ending up knowing that, he's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season? Like that's sketchy to me. So as we get closer, we'll get a better idea. Once he's taken off the physically unable to perform list, we'll get a better idea. But for now, I think I'll go Eckler there. That's why I was mentioning highlight, pretty much snipe me and grab that. Cup or Woods? I'll take Woods. Waller or Brown? AJ Brown specifically, is that what you mean? If it's between the two of those, this upcoming season, I think they're in kind of different tiers of player. Which one would I rather have more? Probably Darren Waller. Yeah, because AJ Brown has had that like production of Darnell Mooney. Ooh, that's a good pick, baby. That's a good pick. Okay, running backs don't need to address. Wide receivers, on the other hand, this is a sketchy group of players. A very sketchy group. Okay. Damn. I don't like this at all. How many seconds do I have? 8? Goodness gracious. Give me my Marvin Jones. Oh, no. I went to Visca. Look, this is what happens, guys. All right. I'm done here. This is what happens when I'm not paying attention. I went with 2 Jacksonville receivers. Guys, it's been a long day. I was up till 10 a.m. fixing the draft kit. Again, don't forget, Andrew Kiorkof's Fantasy Football Draft Guide is available right now. Patreon down below. Albert Yang just auto-picked. Thank you, Albert. He did it out of a sign of respect. I know he did. It's very respectful of him. My gosh. I'm in shambles. Which video should I watch for taking tight ends early? Okay. There's a specific one. It has Alvin Kamara on the Alvin Kamara thumbnail one and the top 6 tight end rankings one. Both of those, within the first 15 minutes, have great information regarding that. Hey, listen. Albert Yang, respects for timing out there. You see, respects. He knows that the draft is washed. I'm washed. My brain is not functioning at this point because, again, I'm not paying attention. I don't want to blow up anybody's draft right now because if you're doing a clean mock draft, I'm just going to let it auto-pick for me. It took a quarterback? Why? Anyway, guys. The ball's coming in, and that's the curtain for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you guys coming out today, supporting the channel. The 283 of you down here in the fantasy football community trying to find the next great option. I will tell you, first and foremost, this draft was chalked in the second round. I should have went Barkley into Travis Kelce. In the third round, gone wide receiver by Julio Jones. In the fourth round, I should have taken Mike Davis and or maybe potentially waited to the 5th and gone for like the Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds, 0 RB, 1 RB strategy. That's what I should have done. But guess what? Andrew wasn't paying attention. Andrew was out here trying to entertain. Andrew was out here trying to do all this bullshit. Anyway, I don't know, guys. I'm tired. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been fun, guys. It's been fun. We'll do this more often. We'll certainly do this more often. Of course, we do it every Sunday during the regular season. But we'll do this more often. All right, guys. If you haven't yet already, check out the Patreon. That's all I ask for. Just check it out. Don't need to join. Your viewership, your activeness in this chat as a commenter, as someone who smashes that like button. Like, of course, everyone's saying smash that like button. I do appreciate that. It does help grow the channel. That's all I ask for. But if you want to take the next step, support the channel even more, keep the lights on, it'd be greatly appreciated. All right, guys. It's been clean. I'm going to fix this audio issue. It's going to be fixed. I promise. This was a test run. I'm glad we did this test run. I'm glad we kind of did this. We went over it. You guys have been my witness. I am, slowly losing my mind, but I appreciate it, guys, nonetheless. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Tomorrow, we get back on the grind for content. Videos will be coming out. I don't even know what I'm posting tomorrow, but we'll figure that out. I got to go do some graphics right now. Until then, have a wonderful night. Keep mock drafting. And don't mess up like Andrew did today. And go double Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers. All right, guys. I'll see you. Thank you very much. Peace. What the heck? Where's my window? I'm supposed to get like a... Where's my window? What? There it is. Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, guys. Peace, light.